If you're subscribed to my channel, you know that I'm a big fan of reusable notebooks. In particular, over the last year I've been using the Rocketbook Everlast series. Having said that, a lot of comments have come in recently asking about the ElfinBook 2.0, and comparing that to the Rocketbook is what the purpose of this video is. So I'm going to go over each and let you know how they differ so that you can make the right buying decision. Conceptually, the Rocketbook Everlast and the ElfinBook 2.0 are very similar. Both offer a reusable notebook experience that works with Pilot's erasable friction pens to allow you to take a note and scan it using the app before erasing it and starting over. But there are a few noteworthy differences. Starting with the build. Both notebooks are enclosed in hard, thin plastic covers that protect the inner pages well, but are prone to scratching over time. As I mentioned in my previous videos, I'm not a huge fan of Rocketbook's coil binding. It's a little bit too large for the number of pages that there are, especially when you're using one of the smaller, executive-size notebooks. The ElfinBook's binding is a little more functional, opening up to make it easier to swap pages in and out. It's also more appropriately sized, since the ElfinBook is slightly thicker than the Rocketbook Everlast. The only downside I've noticed is that it feels a little cheaper and is loosened a little with repeated use, though not to the point of causing real issues. Opening them up, the ElfinBook is composed of 60 pages. 30 have a faded line pattern with repeating dots, and 30 are blank for sketching. In contrast, the Rocketbook Everlast notebooks come in a few different configurations with anywhere from 32 to 42 pages that are either all lined or dotted, or, if you opt for the Everlast Fusion, you get 6 templated pages to aid in organization, followed by 18 dotted pages and 18 lined pages. To see more details on either of these Everlast configurations, check out my previous videos. In addition to offering a few more pages, the ElfinBook pages are textured differently than the Rocketbooks. They're a little bit thinner and have a bit more of a rubbery feel as opposed to the plasticky texture of the Rocketbook. This results in a bit more friction and what I would call a more traditional paper-like feel when writing in the ElfinBook compared to the smoother, more gel-like feel of the Rocketbook Everlast. While I personally prefer the gel-like texture of the Rocketbook for note-taking, I suspect a lot of people will gravitate towards the ElfinBook's more traditional texture. That little bit of extra friction is actually quite nice if you're doing a lot of drawings in the notebook. You'll also notice that every page of the Rocketbook includes a faded footer with 7 icons. These are used with the Rocketbook app to expedite note archiving when scanning, something that is completely missing from the ElfinBook. On the topic of scanning, the Rocketbook experience is simply superior. Scanning a page is much more manual with the ElfinBook compared to the Everlast. You have to manually trigger the shutter and select the contrast mode of each page that you scan. Additionally, the batch mode works on a timed trigger, making it very challenging to get useful scans in sequence. To get around this, you can perform your scans after clicking on a document within the ElfinBook app to have each new scan be bundled into that document. In contrast, the Rocketbook's batch mode automatically fires your camera trigger once it recognizes a page is in position, and the contrast settings are buried within the app. To help make up for its scanning shortfalls, the ElfinBook offers some additional post-processing features. By clicking into the document, you can add to a note either by using your finger, a text box, or images, a handy feature if you forgot something and don't want to re-upload the note. With either notebook, once the note is scanned, you can erase the page by wiping it with a damp cloth. As the name suggests, the Rocketbook Everlast claims to be infinitely reusable, while the ElfinBook only claims about 500 uses, but I'm sure either will vary depending on how roughly you write. You should also avoid letting dry ink stay on pages for more than 30 days at a time to avoid staining. I haven't had the need to try it yet, but you can completely erase the ElfinBook by placing it atop a glass of water and microwaving it for 5 minutes. This is a feature that's been completely absent from the Rocketbook series ever since the original Wave notebook, so please don't try microwaving your Everlast notebooks. The final comparison between these reusable notebooks is their applications. Overall, the ElfinBook's app looks a little more contemporary than the Rocketbook's, but the major difference, aside from the scanning experience, which we already spoke about, is how each company seems to have intended the apps to be used. The ElfinBook app seems to be where you should store your notes, whereas the Rocketbook app, while storing your scanned history, is meant to help you get your notes into the cloud storage location of your choice. This is evident by ElfinBook's ability to combine previously scanned documents within folders, and quickly add notes that are made right within the app to those folders. While you can export your notes to other locations, the process is again manual. Alternatively, the Rocketbook app uses the page footers to automatically archive your notes to customized cloud locations depending on which icon is checked off when the notes are scanned. This means that you can spend a lot less time in the app and places more emphasis on having your notes available wherever your Dropbox or Google Drive, etc. folders are synced. Additionally, both apps offer optical character recognition to help with your digitized notes, though they implement it in different ways. The ElfinBook uses OCR to create a complete, but sometimes scrambled, digital transcript of your note, which is handy if you want to copy this into another document in the future, while the Rocketbook uses OCR to make your notes searchable within the app, and to further expedite the archiving process by allowing you to automatically title your documents by nesting a written title between double hashtags. Each approach is neat, but I've found that I use Rocketbook's search and titling features more often than I need a digitally transcribed note. It's also worth noting that your results will greatly depend on how tidy your handwriting is, and that neither works with cursive lettering. Overall, after using both notebooks together over the past month or so, I think they're both interesting products. In my opinion, the ElfinBook's rougher texture and more manual upload process make it better suited as an occasional sketchbook for uploading drawings. On the other hand, the Rocketbook's more streamlined uploading process makes it better for somebody who needs to take a lot of notes and upload them without wasting any time. If you have experience with either of these notebooks, please share it in the comments down below. Otherwise, if you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.